when he came to, um, his first thought was, I'm pretty sure I saw the altar of incense down there, and the Ark of the Covenant's over there. The entrance to this cave is about this big. How am I ever going to get all this out? Well, he said that he came home, of course, did a lot of praying, and kept going back. He went into the chamber, I think, two more times, um, in the early 80s. So he was in a total of three times. Um, he did find that there was a door on the other side that was all rocked up. When he got close to it, he realized this is an entrance. This is how they brought this stuff in. So he's still thinking, how am I going to find the way to do this? He said he pushed the rock out that on that exit, and he looked out the tunnel. I mean, looked out the door and saw a tunnel going in both directions, but they on both sides they were plugged up with rocks. He couldn't, if he had gone through there. So he began a search for the entrance to that tunnel. And this went on for a long time. And it wasn't until the mid 90s, and I will not give an exact date because Ron didn't want that known. We had a problem with people trying to attach prophetic significance to certain dates and all. And he said,
Yeah.
I don't want that. So in the mid 90s, that was when the way that Ron got to work in Israel, he was not an archaeologist. He was just one man and, his boys. And they didn't come back much after 1984 because they all went to prison in Saudi Arabia. And Ron said, I'm putting my children at too much risk. So the way he would work in Israel was he had radar, subsurface interface radar. Israel didn't. He had metal detectors and things, and he knew how to use them. And back then, the Israel Antiquities Department, it was not what it is today. Today, it's very highly organized, incredible organization. But back then, it was not quite, what it is today. So they arranged to let him work there. And he would go to the office of the head of antiquities, knock on the door, see the secretary, and say, Hi, I'm here. I've got my radar if I can do anything to help y'all. And they would usually say, No, but thank you. That bought him goodwill. One time in the mid 90s, he goes, sticks his head in the door, sees the secretary, says, I'm here, and I've got some, if I can help in any way, I'll be glad to. And at that moment, the head man, was in his office, saw Ron, came in, stuck his hand out and says, Mr. Wyatt, there is something we would like for you to do for us. And that's when Ron said, be glad to. And all he told him was, Meet me at the entrance to Zedekiah's cave at 11 o'clock tonight. And so Ron, the hotel he was staying in, the old Jerusalem Hotel, was right across from the entrance to the Garden Tomb. It was not a long walk at all. So he walked down there, 11 o'clock at night, and there were army and police there. And back then, not a lot of people spoke English. Nobody spoke to him. He walked right through, right into the entrance. And this man, who was the head, who was also a four-star general, a retired four-star general, he asked Ron, he said, Just follow me. We had some men go into a tunnel and they haven't come back. And we were wondering if you would go and check on them, which Ron thought was really a strange request because there's nobody more brave than the Israelis.
I was going to
Uh,
ask you this exact question. I'm glad you're talking about it. Go ahead. Yep.
yeah. So, he thought that was kind of strange, but he was willing to do whatever. And I am not sure about this. I'm going to have to check my notes. I think they told him they heard screams, but I'm sure they had radios and they just lost contact. So Ron goes in this tunnel. He had never seen it before. It's in Zedekiah's cave. Well, he had been looking in Zedekiah's cave for years, looking for a tunnel entrance, never found one. And here's this opening right here where he had been, well, I won't say hundreds, 20, 30 times before. It's open. And they said, can you go down there and check on him? So Ron said that he started walking down this tunnel and he went about 70 feet and there was a pile of men all in a heap. And Ron was a nurse anesthetist and he started out in medical school and then he went to anesthesia school. He knew a lot about medicine. And he said he took their eyes and went like this and saw that their eyes were turned upward like that, which is the sign of a stroke. Every one of them, he said, died of a stroke. So he went back out and told them, and they said, okay, can you take this wire rescue basket, go down this tunnel, and flip them on for us? And he did. Now, he said they were all dressed like he would think uh, the priests would dress in ancient Israel. He did not describe it in detail to me. He just said they looked like priests. And so one at a time, he'd flip them in, they would pull them out. And then when Ron came out the final time, all that was said to him was, thank you. And then he left.
So
So,
yeah, that's amazing. Because the story I
mhm,
heard was there were some priests that went in there that were trying to retrieve the ark. They died. Then
mhm,
Ron was asked to go in to retrieve the bodies. I've never heard it anywhere else, and I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
mhm.
Um,
Well, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, he was never told anything. They never gave him any explanation. But the next day, Ron got up. All he could think about was that tunnel. And he went back. It's really funny because on that particular trip, I had bought him a new tripod because a lot of the times I'd go with him, but I didn't go this time. And so I said, you've got to quit videoing like this and use your tripod. So I got him one that he could carry in his suitcase and all. So he put his little camera on the tripod on his shoulder and walked back down. Walked right in. No, there was nobody at the entrance to stop him. He walked in, walked, turned to the left, went that way, and there was that tunnel open. And he said at that time he began to walk, and it was about 400 feet till he got to a doorway. And the doorway was, I think, to his left. And when he looked in, there were four young men standing there. There was a light in there, but there was no light source. And he said that these young men were just standing there. And I said, what did they look like? I had visions of angels. But he said, well, they looked like four big strapping Israeli commandos. I said, well, what were they wearing? And he said, well, they were wearing sports shirts. And all I can figure is that God had them appear in a manner that would not cause Ron distress, because God, we know that they can appear anyway. They can look like anything. So he said he was so stunned that he said, I wanted to stay. What are y'all doing here? But nothing came out. And one of these young men spoke to him. And around these young men was the Ark of the Covenant up against a wall and all of the other items of the original tabernacle in the wilderness. These would have been all of the original things made at Mount Sinai. The the uh, let's see, the candlestick, the altar of incense, the the uh, what do you call it for the bread for the yeah. I'm drawing I
The
can't think what
showbread.
is it? The table of showbread, thank you. And a sword. There was this, Goliath's swords in there and a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. He said all of the veils and the uh, um, coverings were all folded up in a corner. And all of the boards for the original tabernacle, the gold boards are in there, all stacked up. And but he couldn't move, he couldn't speak. And so he told that they told him, they said, "We want you to take the tables of stone out. God wants everyone to see that." So he said one angel got on each corner of the mercy seat, which Ron said he estimated weighed about 900 pounds because it was, it was beaten gold. So they lifted it up and they held it while Ron took the tables of stone out. And then they lowered it back down. And Ron said he just stood there like this. He didn't know what to do. He's got the tables of stone in his hands. And finally, after he had, I guess the angel let him have a little time to savor the moment. I don't know. But he then took them from Ron and set them on a ledge. And that's pretty much all that happened. But what I forgot to tell you is that when Ron went in there, the angel told him to set up his tripod and his camera and turn it on. And he did. And he said the whole thing was 11 and a half minutes. And he took that tape. I mean, when he walked out, he just put that back over his shoulder with the camera on it, walked back to his hotel room and looked at the video. And he said it was crystal clear all through, he'd never been able to get any pictures of the ark before. They were always white out. But he he watched it and he was impressed to take it back. So right after he had watched it, he, took it out of the camera, put it in his pocket, and walked back down. Again, he was able to walk right in, um, walk there. The tunnel was still open. He walked down there and